we want to open in prayer, and I come before the Heavenly Father, asking Him to bring unity within this meeting, that we all come in one accord to His Word and what He has developed and promised for this community, and it shall come about. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Rebecca?
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your Tuesday evening with us tonight. We really appreciate you giving us your time and your input tonight on all the great updates we have to share with you. I want to give a quick shout out to and I'm sorry, my name is Rebecca Rinaldo. I'm Mayor Gainey's Neighborhood Services Manager. We have other members of the team still signing folks in at the front. So we're gonna get things started while folks continue to trickle in. But it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce our Mayor, Ed Gainey.
Good afternoon, Homewood. How you doing? Hey, it's good to see y'all. Let me say this again. Good afternoon, Homewood. How y'all doing? Right. Hey, listen, I promised y'all when I came out here first time that I would be back for two reasons. One is to let you know what we've done in regards to public safety in Homewood and development that we're talking about in Homewood. We want to be transparent. We want you to know what's going on. You know, I've always been that way with y'all. That's never going to stop. I'm going to continue to tell you what's going on, how it's going to go the whole nine. That's something that I've always done and I will continue. Secondly, I need to hear from you. There's some things that maybe I need to know. And I always tell you, I can't know unless the community tells me. I can't. If you know of anything that's going on, you know my number one rule. I know the neighborhood knows first. I know the community knows first. If you see something, say something. I need you. You know that if you give me names to different things that is going on, that it will be handled. But I can't do it unless we do it together. The homicides in Homewood is down throughout the year. That's a positive thing. Doesn't mean that the shootings is down. We're still working on the shootings, but the homicides in Homewood is down, data-driven than before. That's a positive. And a lot of times we don't celebrate the positive because we've been stuck in the muckery of what's been going on for oh so long. Sometimes we got to look at the community and say thank you. Not just for the work that people like the person that runs this house today, Rashad Birdsong, Jackie Hill, Loretta, all y'all, Vicky, my sisters, all of y'all have done a phenomenal job, and you know that. All the mad dads, all the coaches, everybody. To make a community safe, it don't start with downtown, it starts with here, in the neighborhood, and what we do. And so we will have some, as always, direct conversation. We will answer the questions that you ask if we know. Now y'all know, if I don't know, I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat it like I do know. I'm gonna tell you I don't know, but what I will always do is go get the answer and bring it back for you. I've always done that. And I also want to say, I know some of y'all have been trying to get in touch with me. Okay.
It ain't the same.
Yes, it's, as a state rep, you have a district. As the mayor, you have a city. When I wake up in the morning and in my Facebook inbox, there's 25 to 50 inboxes, 14 to 15 telephone calls, and you know in my heart I want to get back to all of you. But in my mind, if I spend my whole day responding, then I can't get anything done. So when you hear one of my staff give you a call, let's try to switch the conversation, right? I need to speak to Ed Gainey. No, you need to speak to them. You understand what I'm saying? You need to speak to them because I want to, but I can't. They want to take my phone from me. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want my phone, well, bottom line, my phone ain't going nowhere. That's just the bottom line. But what I'm saying to you is this is why I need you. I need us to continue to work together. Where they was dumping out on Frankstown Avenue, you don't see no more dumping. The sidewalks that we own, you'll see that we did what we say we was going to do. Homicides is down. Development that we talked about, you will hear a little bit about it today. We are continuing. You know what I mean? As I've changed my phrase listening to Jake Pollock, I'll say microwave, there's no microwave meals in growth. But what I need you to understand is things are moving forward. And I don't want you and never have let you be the end, but always the beginning of things that's going down. Always done that. That don't mean we always going to agree. And you know I'm comfortable with that too. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to do what's in the best interest of this community. I always have, and I put the people first. I put the people before development or anything else. So as my man Jake Wheatley like to say, I like to set tone this, to say that we're going to have positive dialogue. But what I need from you when I leave here, I should have more wisdom about Homewood when I leave here than when I came here today. And that comes from each and every one of you. And so I'm going to call your council person up, let him say a couple words, and then we're going to get started. Let's go get it. Ricky Burgess.
So I was content to be on the side and be a cheerleader. I have lived long enough that I've seen God move. I've lived long enough to see us to have a black mayor of the city of Pittsburgh. I have lived long enough. Amen, somebody. I've seen long enough to see what God is doing. And so when you hear the good things, I'm on the side. I'm cheerleading. I'm like Moses. You know the story of Moses. When Moses raised his hands, there were people on either side of them. I'm that guy on the side, right? I'm just trying to hold up the man's hand because I believe as he leaves, we'll be blessed. So I'm going to be in the side. I'm here to help. I'm here to applaud. I'm behind the scenes mostly, helping with his administration, and we're here to see together the great things God's going to do for our city and the great thing God is doing for Homewood. God bless you. Thank you for this moment.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Reverend. I want to do a quick round of introductions for all the wonderful team members, not just from the mayor's office, but from other departments who have joined us tonight. So here on our panel, we have Mayor Ed Gainey. We have our chief. Actually, do you guys want to introduce yourselves? I'm sorry. I know that's usually the style.
Good evening. I'm Chief of Staff for Mayor Ed Gainey, Jake Wheatley.
Felicity Williams, Deputy Chief of Staff.
Stephanie Gagney, Executive Assistant.
Good evening, David Jones, Assistant Director, Community Affairs, Public Safety. Thank you.
There we go. I'm Lisa Frank. I'm the Mayor's Chief Operating and Administrative Officer.
Jake Pollack, Deputy Mayor and Budget Director. Good evening.
All right.
We got Josiah in the back.
Josiah Gilliams in the back somewhere. Josiah, raise your hand. Thank you so much for being here.
Sharon Watkins with the Office of Financial Empowerment.
Pamela Collier, Special Assistant to the Mayor. Lori Criswell, Executive Assistant to the Mayor.
Rick and Mel. Maria.
Maria, where are you at?
Maria Montano, Press Secretary for Mayor Ed Gainey.
Thank you. Brother Mel Hubbard, I know you're here somewhere, right? Thank you. Rick Williams is here, and my neighborhood services team colleagues are also here, Crisera Johnson and Jessica Farrell, as well as Upasna and Chuck Dorham from our Business Diversity Office. And we are also honored to have representatives from our Human Resources Office tabling in the back here tonight. We have so many great employment opportunities available at the city right now, and we hope you'll take a few minutes after the program is done to stop by, visit with Paula and Nadia, and learn about these opportunities. See if you're a fit for them or if you know someone else who is. We would love to. Sure.
You know, as it went down, and I know a lot of times we take this for granted, but I don't, because I work for 2 administrations. So I'm gonna point this out because I know the importance of this. This is the most diverse mayor's administration that has ever been in the history of downtown. And you see it right here. Black, white, Latino, straight, LGBTQIA. This is the most diverse mayor's office that's ever been. And that represents the city of Pittsburgh. And so I'd like for you to give my team a round, a well applause.
And last but certainly not least, the folks who are helping us stream this meeting into the homes of many folks who weren't able to join us in person tonight, our amazing City Channel team. Thank you for being here to live stream the event. And thank you to our interpreters for being here and making sure that this meeting is accessible for people of all abilities. Can you go to the meeting norms slide, Steph? Thank you. So we are so excited to be here with you all tonight because we know how much passion and energy is in this room and how much you all love Homewood. And we're thankful that you brought that passion, that energy, that wisdom that the mayor spoke about to the meeting. That being said, we may not all agree on everything that we're going to talk about tonight. And we are going to have an opportunity at the end of the presentation for anyone who wants to speak to come up and speak. We ask that you share your thoughts with respect for everyone who's here. And we ask that you just consider the time of everyone here. Limit your input to a minute or your question to a minute so that there's enough time for everyone who wants to ask a question or to speak to come up and speak. And so with that, I'm going to hand things over to our Deputy Chief of Staff, Felicity Williams.
Thank you, Rebecca. Good evening, Homewood. How are you guys doing tonight? Oh, I think we can do better than that. Good evening, Homewood. How are you guys doing tonight? Much better, much better. So before we go ahead and jump into some of the updates that we have for you all tonight, we wanted to take a minute to talk a little bit about All-In Homewood and how we got here. So as the mayor said at the beginning of the meeting, the last time we were all together in this room was in March. First, earlier in the day, we did a community walk with the mayor and executive staff, our neighborhood services team, to get a chance to see firsthand challenges that exist in the neighborhood, but also the assets and wonderful things about Homewood. Following that, we had a community meeting in this space where, once again, we talked about all the things that we love about Homewood, but we recognize that there are some challenges. More specifically, there's been some challenges related to gun violence, and that's something that has existed for quite some time. And so we wanted to hear, as the mayor said, you heard Rebecca talk about this too as well, the wisdom and input from you all about how we address those challenges. And so we heard that from you all. We took that feedback from you and used that as informing our work as an administration. We followed that community meeting by coming out here in April to do a cleanup and department assessments. So we brought our department directors with us. You all may remember we were out here on a Saturday morning and afternoon to do some assessments around Homewood from the feedback that we heard from you all, concerns that you had about blight and vacancy, about trash, about sidewalks and your infrastructure and traffic and all of these different things that we heard from you all at that first meeting. And following that, in June, we launched our plan for peace. The idea around this is to take a public health approach to addressing gun violence. So taking all of the things that we heard from you all about your community and combining that also with a public safety strategy to work to reduce, to get to zero gun violence deaths. Now you heard the mayor say that we're not there yet. There are no microwave meals. You heard him say that as well. But we are here to say that we have made progress. And we want to talk to you all about how we continue to make progress. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Lisa Frank from our team, our Chief Operations Administrative Officer, to start walking through some of those updates with you. And then we are going to go through some of that data to talk more specifically about what the mayor already said about the positive impacts and results that we are seeing from this work that we've been doing. Thank you.
Can I put this in my pocket? Good evening. As Felicity said, I'm going to just take you through a little bit of things that have happened and then a little bit about things to come. I need to ask y'all a question about sidewalks, and then I'll hand it off, but we'll leave time for people to have other kinds of questions. So as Felicity said, what we heard people say when we were here in March and when we were here in April and when you call and leave messages on the mayor's phone is that, we have seniors who are worried about going out in the dark. We have parents who are worried about traffic and the safety of their kids going to school. We heard concerns about illegal dumping and trash. And again, as Felicity said, we went to our directors, the people who are in charge of roads and in charge of cleaning up and in charge of hiring people in the back of the room and in charge of those things, and said, okay, take a look at this stuff and let's try to have a little bit of a plan. So one of the first things we did was to think about lighting. The first time I met the mayor, he started to talk to me about the way that neighborhoods look and feel and how that's so important to people's futures, not just because if you don't have a light you could trip and fall, which you could, that's a safety concern, but also the way a neighborhood looks and the way a neighborhood feels and the way a neighborhood is cared for lets people know that there's hope, that they matter, and that things as simple as trash are not really simple things, and things that are as simple as lights are not really simple things, they're important things. And so we started with lighting. And here are some things that have happened. On Frankstown Road, we replaced 5 intersections with higher wattage LEDs. So what does that mean? There's light bulbs that you're used to before. They're kind of sodium. They burn a little bit yellow, but they're not really very bright. Went and replaced those at a bunch of intersections. Frankstown and North Homewood, Frankstown and Collier, Frankstown and North Braddock, Frankstown and Brushton, Frankstown and Oakwood. And there, did you see them? Have you? Yeah, you noticed that it's brighter? This is excellent. And on Hamilton Ave, replaced those old high-pressure sodium lights with LEDs in all the blocks between North Lang and Oakwood, and did the same with the same blocks on Bennett Street. I also want to share that we have a big lighting project coming up, which is to do more poles and more LED lighting, not just in Homewood, but across the city. But what we said to that contractor is, when you get started, you have to start in the places that are the most dark. You have to start in the places where people have not had their lighting looked after. So they're doing those studies and their analyses, but if you live in a place that needs more light, then you should anticipate that, that our contractor is going to get there first. Okay, maybe that's enough about lighting. Traffic safety. So traffic calming, what does that mean? It means the cars are going too fast, and when cars go fast, bad things happen. Cars hit each other, they hit people, they hit children, and traffic calming is really something that our department, our DOMI department does, mobility and infrastructure, to try to figure out how to make everybody slow down. So the North Homewood Ave traffic calming project is underway, and I think, who told me this? Rebecca, did you tell me this? The speed bump's going in next week. Is that right? On Kelly Street, I'm sorry. And the one that is on North Homewood Ave, I think, is already in. It's in. Did you see it? Did it slow you down? All right. All right. That is what it's supposed to do. In addition to those, what they call vertical barriers, you go slow because you don't want to jolt in your car. The way that the signals work, street lights can also help to slow people down, and not all of the street lights here are synced the way they should be synced or work the way that they should work. So with PennDOT, we have a design to put new signals at Mertland and Lang, Homewood, Sterrett, Collier, Braddock, Brushton, and Black Door roads. And the Hamilton and Homewood signal is next week. You'll see that one next week. Okay. Let's do trash and brush and hazard. So I think people have seen, I hope people have seen, we've got some new trash cans. I learned this from our litter people. What makes people litter is seeing litter. When people don't see litter, they don't throw litter. If people see, everybody's nodding, you know this. If you see a candy wrapper, you're going to throw a candy wrapper. So making sure that the first piece of litter doesn't get on the ground is the way to make sure that the second piece of litter doesn't get on the ground. And DPW has put in some new trash cans, I think, near bus stops. I'm hoping that you've seen those. That's excellent. And we have been, systematically trying to keep the weeds down, because that's where, rodents and things like that can be, to keep needles picked up. I know people are concerned about that, and we did do something about the illegal dumping. So I hope people have seen those improvements. And then finally, sidewalks. So we have been out here looking at sidewalks. Sidewalks matter because, for a lot of reasons. You don't want your kids we don't want anybody, kids or adults, stepping into the street where there's a car because you can't navigate the sidewalk. And we don't want people tripping on sidewalks that are all uneven and all of that. So we have been out to pave a bunch of sidewalks, and there were some photos somewhere of those, but I don't know where they went. But here's the thing about sidewalks, and this is really the question that we want to ask about sidewalks. So in the city of Pittsburgh, the rules around sidewalks make having really good sidewalks kind of tricky, and here's why. Because the city is allowed to fix the sidewalk that's on like a city property. So here's a lot, the city owns it, that sidewalk is ours. But here's a lot, and a person owns it, that sidewalk is supposed to be theirs, and they're supposed to take care of that sidewalk. You all know this, right? Okay. It's not a great system if what you want to have is good sidewalks, for a bunch of reasons. If you're the person and you have a house, you're not the city, right? And your sidewalk is a little, whatever. Do you know where there's a contractor? Maybe it's expensive and it's really hard to afford. Maybe, to go and fix that sidewalk. And if you're the city, if we're only paving here's our spot, but now we're going to skip 5 spots and put in another spot, and now we're going to skip 2 spots. You don't get a sidewalk that way. You get slabs of concrete that way, right? What we want to do is be able to look at a street and say, hey, people cannot walk on this street easily, and then just roll on down and fix that sidewalk. Okay, to do that, we're going to have to get into this is what I want to ask you if people are interested in this. We're going to have to get into a little bit of a different relationship with one another. So we're going to need people who have houses and are responsible for that sidewalk to first of all say, yeah, it's okay if the city takes care of that. I don't have to find a contractor. I don't have to worry about that. And then what we would say to you is, okay, and then you should probably kick in a little bit. You're not going to have to do the whole thing, and we can think about what's the right rate there. But what we would do is just look at a whole street and say, hey, can we figure out how to do this together so that we can just go and make a sidewalk on that street? Do people want to dig in around that? All right. Well, we're going to dig in around that then. Okay. Let me just do a couple more things. I think we want to just talk a little bit about one improvement. So while we're talking about built environment, I'm sure everybody's heard about the Homewood Fields that's coming. It's a football field and a baseball field and fixing the pool and a little bit of a community center. Yes? Okay. Awesome. Yep. There's a little bit of construction going on now. A lot of construction will be happening next year, and the idea is to let the community that has worked so hard on this project put those kids on the field in the fall of the following year. So that's our target. People had a couple of questions about the field that I'm just going to answer quickly. People wanted to know whether the field was going to cause more flooding in basements. There's high water table there and high water table in some of the houses around, but the short answer to that question is no. The grass is permeable grass. It's not going to run off anywhere. If your basement's flooding now, it's not going to change because of the field. Let's put it that way. And then people wanted to know about the cleanliness. So we thought about that because it's true. People come and they play and they leave their trash and maybe they do other things you don't want to do. So we're going to experiment with a new way of permitting with people. If you want to get a permit to play on the field, to get that permit, you have to agree that you are going to leave that field and those locker rooms that have bathrooms in the same state that you found them. And if you don't, you can't come back, and we're going to send you a bill for the cleaning. So that way, people who pick up, it's going to be fine. People who don't pick up, well, that'll be a slightly different story. And then the last question I know that people have is parking. The project is going to result in a little more parking. We got a little work to do to figure out how to get everybody to share space, and those questions are not perfectly answered, but I want people to know that we're aware that we got to do some work there to figure that out. All right, now I'm ready. Zero gun deaths. Felicity said it, the mayor has said it, everybody has said it. That's our goal, zero gun deaths. Zero gun deaths in Homewood, zero gun deaths anywhere in our city. So what we've done since we last saw you were a couple of things to try to help us get there. One was to double the GVI staff, and people know what the GVI staff, group violence intervention, which is, violence can be like a little bit like a disease, like somebody gets harmed and then people want to come to, take care of that, and then people want to come to take care of that, and then people want to come to take care of that, and then before you know it, you've got a lot of people involved in violence. And so what the GVI team does is try to interrupt that, to try to say to people like, whoa, hold on, let's stop, let's think about another path, so that instead of getting worse, things begin to get better. Proactive policing, we heard people say, what happened to community polices? What happened to those beat cops that we used to have? Can people get out of the cars? Could we have police who are talking to us before we call 911? And so we have steadily increased the number of hours that police are spending doing proactive policing rather than reactive policing. And then something that I want to be sure that people know, and you can talk to Paula in the back about it, is that we are going to have a new class, meaning we're going to recruit and train a new class of police officers, and we so want those officers to be from our community, reflect our community, have the values of the community, and be the first class of police officers trained under Mayor Gainey to really be the future of our police department. So if you're somebody who loves the community and feels like that's a thing that you'd like to be part of, a really historic first police class, you can talk to Paul, you can talk to any of us, but think about that, and that will start maybe in about February, March of next year, but you want to start talking about it now.
About the graduation.
Talk about
the requirements have changed too.
Oh, and yes, and Chief is reminding me that, you may have heard that to be able to start as a police officer in the city of Pittsburgh, you needed to have 60 college credits. We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to help. Okay, all right. So people can get their education as you go. Some of your work in the police academy will count towards that, and if you decide you want to do more education, you're working for the city of Pittsburgh, you can go to college, you can do those things, but you're not going to have that before you walk in the door. Hey, yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, I think, one more thing. So what did all that, more GVI and more beat police officers, I think we're starting to see results. This is if you can see it, this tries to measure where we were in 2021 versus where we were in 2022. So the first 6 months of 2021 and the first 6 months of 2022. So in some areas, like property, things got a little worse. But the thing that I think we're all super concerned about, which is violence, we've seen a 10% reduction in violence over the course of this year relative to last year. So we're in Homewood. I'm sorry, this is only in Homewood. So we're hopeful about that. We're going to keep our kind of feet on the gas with new strategies to help keep people safe, to help people have hope, to intervene. And then I think Felicity, you wanted to say something about this slide, yes?
All right. Thank you, Lisa. Before I talk a little bit about this slide, I do want to take a moment to recognize your incoming State House Representative, Latasha Mays, who's with us this evening. I want to recognize the Mayor of Wilkinsburg, Dante Comans, who's in the back there as well. And I want to make sure that I recognize our REACH team. You heard Lisa talk about GVI. These are the guys that are working with us doing that work. So I want to recognize them in the back there as well. So Lisa just talked to you guys about a slide of one way we can look at how we measure the impact of the work in Homewood. This is another way that we want to look at this, very specifically talking about gun violence deaths. That is the commitment we made here to get to zero gun violence deaths. Our data told us that Homewood, in the beginning of this year, had the highest amount of gun violence deaths of any neighborhood in the city of Pittsburgh. That's why we came to Homewood for the meeting in March, and we're focusing on Homewood. If you look at this chart to the left, I told you guys that we were here for a community meeting in March. We came back and did the all-in cleanup and department assessments in April, and we released our plan for peace in June. And as you guys can see, gun violence deaths have trailed off. during that time. You'll see that since April, we've only had 2 gun violence deaths. Now, as the mayor said, there are no microwave meals. We're not at 0 yet, but we do have to take time to celebrate the positive success of the impact and the progress that we are seeing here in Homewood, and we want to make sure that we highlighted that for you all tonight. And up next, I'm going to bring you want to cover? I'm going to bring Chief of Staff Willie to talk to you guys about vacant buildings. We have some questions that we need to put forth to you. Lisa said she wanted to talk to you guys about sidewalks. We need to talk to you guys about vacant buildings and how the community feels about how they want us to handle those. Chief of Staff Willie is going to come up, and then we're going to open up into broader discussion.
They had to figure out a way to get me to talk tonight, so I guess I'm talking about vacant buildings. All right, so one of the things we have all known in many neighborhoods, especially underserved neighborhoods in the city, we have a lot of vacant properties. The question that we need to figure out together is how do we resolve some of these questions around what to do with our vacant property. We want to form a partnership with you because, as we said, this is a co-governance model. So for Homewood, there are a couple of ways to deal with our vacant properties. Some think, let's just knock everything down and start new. And then there are some who say, we can use these structures and reuse them and build them, do some work in rehab. Thank you, Mayor. Rehab them. Now, these particular ones were identified when we came out on our walk as problems because we have a lot of unhoused people. Not that the unhoused people are the problem, but they were using these structures and they're not safe. They're not safe for the folk who are using them, and they're not safe for the community in the current condition. And what we tried to do in the original is try to go, because everybody said, why don't you just board them up? Well, we tried that. And what happens when you board something up? They come back in. So that's just like a reoccurring. That's not going to resolve the issue. So we need help from you because in order to do this, we don't own, some of these we don't own, right? We don't own these. So we can go through a procedure to try to take these over because they are unsafe. But if we take them over, we go through that process, we want to know from you, do you want them torn down, rehab, and it has to be a conversation because we don't know what the cost will be to rehab. We don't know what the cost will be to tear down. So I guess as we're talking about the sidewalks, this is another open question that we need to figure out together because, we don't want, and where's Richard at? So Homewood Collaborative is your communal process around development. And I know, like in every other community we go into, there are some people who disagree with processes. That's not up for the mayor to determine. Right now, the Homewood Collaborative is the process by which we come to the table to discuss what happens in your neighborhood from a developmental standpoint.
Why would that be? That is a major
At the end, we'll have questions. That's a community conversation that's a community conversation that you all will have to work through. But we can't do 15 meetings in one community. So we have to have a collective table that has everyone there. Now, if somebody's not allowed at a table, we need to know that. But if there's an open community table where everyone can come to and talk about development, we want to come to that. And that's one of the questions that we need to have at that table. And so we're just identifying it. We are alerting you to a process, and we're looking forward to engaging in what we believe will be a healthy, hearty conversation. So thank you again. And who am I turning this over to?
JP got something to say.
Oh, JP, Deputy Mayor Pollock. I'm gonna give you the mic.
Thank you. Just to clarify a point Chief Wheatley made, if we were to take the properties outright, we would most likely have to tear them down because of their condition, right? If we were to decide collectively that we want to go a different direction and work on rehabilitation, then that's a different set of steps that we can do. It will take longer and it'll take a more complicated procedure. So just to put a slightly finer point on something Chief Wheatley said, we have both paths available to us, but understand that in many of these situations, because of the current condition, if we took ownership, the current state would mean that for safety reasons, we would have to demolish. So we gotta have to pick our path here in order to make sure that we're honoring the community's desires on that front. So thank you. And then I will give it to Felicity.
Hold on, wait. Hold on, let me say one thing.
Okay.
So now, this is the part where we go to community input. Now, hold on, Sam, hold on. Now, I know we like to talk, right? But I do want to hear from a majority of the community, right? A minute to ask the question, let us answer. And let me say this, Sam, you know me. If there's something that we can't resolve right here, I'll be here for a minute, we can talk about it.
One second, sir. Thank you so much. Right. 1 second, sir. I just wanted to remind everybody for our process. So thank you for following that and coming up to the microphone here. If you guys want to make a comment or have a question, just like the mayor said, if you could please line up behind the microphone here, single file, so that we can go one by one. We have our team, Rebecca and Crisera over here. They're going to help us walk through this process with you all. And so I'm going to hand it over to them now.
We're going to call groups of five.
I got a question.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. That microphone is a little bit of a decoy. That is helping our city channel team project what's going on. We're going to have speakers use this microphone that the panel is using.
I don't need that button. Come around, so don't. Okay. So this is my question to everybody. How come, and this is going to be a minute, how come the collaborative controls everything which happens in this community? And I say this to the whole panel. First and foremost, I give you a lot of credit, Eddie, for what you've done. But this is bigger than Mr. Ed Gainey's group of people. Ricky Burgess has been sitting on his seat for almost 20 years, 16. This is bigger than Mr. Gainey. Mr. Gainey should not have to be taking his administration to fix streets. This in Homewood goes back to the collaborative because he was a part of that collaborative before Mr. Gainey got on board. All I'm saying is the collaborative ain't right. I can say and tell you each individual. We stand in a facility where he says it's a youth project. This is a youth program. His summer program had 6 children from the hood, but he got government funding to program people outside of this community. And now he has a development team that's going to be doing the redevelopment. Last week I said it on a meeting in this very place. He kicked us out. He said, the houses that you all show us, they got a development plan for them. Just 2 weeks prior to that, I went to Mr. Ricky Burgess' meeting that was up in the, excuse me everyone, up in Point Breeze where the white folks was at. He assured everybody up in there he was giving them a song and a dance. This ain't Ed Gainey, y'all, because I know I've been to his office and I've met with a bunch of his administration. Ed holding people accountable. Ed is holding people accountable. But when you got Ricky Burgess as the councilman who's not working with the administration, this shit ain't gonna get everybody right. This is just nothing but facade. Ed trying. Ed is trying. But this ain't going nowhere. I don't care how y'all look at it. That collaborative, Ricky Burgess is a part of it. His thumb is on it. So anything that happens ain't gonna get done. Wow. Mr. Burgess, you got plenty of money from the previous. You got plenty of money from the previous regime.
Break it down. I'm gonna have to do this, all right? I got this.
For violence prevention.
I got it. All right, Sam.
A little girl who was from West Coast High School who's been missing for 2 weeks. Where's the people at?
You know about that?
This ain't gonna happen, y'all.
All right, hold Sam. I gotta hear everybody. Jackie, come in front.
Hey, give her the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have a comprehensive community plan that was prepared from input from many of the community members. We have a group of people who brought it across the finish line by getting it approved by city planning. However, the people who oversee the plan currently each run a full-time organization. We need a CDC. That the members, the current members of that committee should be board members. We don't disregard them because of the work they've done. But we need broader input, and we need to have some control over our community. And in terms of vacant property, I ask that we expand the funding for the CARL program, the construction and rehab loan, where you're allowed to purchase the structure, get the price of the rehab, all in one mortgage. And we begin getting those properties back on the tax roll. So that is my recommendation. In terms of sidewalks, URA has a lot of good community-based programs. So having a low-interest loan program for the homeowners who can't afford to get their sidewalks fixed. So that's how we address that problem. Thank you.
I want him to answer your question, and then we'll move forward.
Thank you. Briefly, on the sidewalk topic that you just raised, ma'am, to clarify, what we're actually looking at is not a loan. It would be some form of income-based repayment process that would essentially be attached to your tax bill. So it achieves, I think, the same objective, which is that it's what you pay is based on your ability to pay, and we would complete the work. We're still figuring out the final details, but I think there's a clear consensus from the response we got here tonight that this is something the community is interested in us exploring here, and so we're going to head in that direction.
And that's better than a loan. That's better than a loan.
Oh yeah, you don't have the money. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm originally from Homewood, and I live in Penn Hills, but I have a business in Homewood. So I don't forget where I came from, first of all. And some of these buildings you're talking about are vacant. The homeless people, the ones that are habitable where you can fix them, put some of the homeless people in there. You're talking about you can't find homes. Find ways to make sure that they're clothed and they're warm, get them from under the bridges. That's one thing. And as far as the trash along, they used to have programs where the kids were paid to go clean some of these lots. These lots aren't clean in Homewood. On Brushton, it's coming down Willer Street. Coming down, I'm thinking and talking. That's me. But anyway, coming down Brushton Hill, they had the flood there where cars were trapped. They have to clean them storm drains. They have to be cleaned within Homewood. So the other thing that I'm concerned about, which
The street that you just said.
the storm drains.
What street was that on?
That's coming down Willer Street. Willer in Frankstown. Yeah, it flooded to Blackador. Okay. And it's still doing the same thing. That's where the business is. Okay, my other concern is the kids within Homewood. Their grade levels are not up what they should be, and I like to be a part of helping with a program to educate our kids. It's like they've forgotten our kids, that they're not capable of being a higher education, and then programs that can better them for jobs. So that's what I want the community to come together, all of us come together and make sure our kids are educated, because if they're not educated, where are they going to get a job? How are they going to fix the properties you're talking about? And that's what I want to be involved in. So I don't know if you're all involved in making sure your kids are educated and have a higher level when they do their scoring, because right now if you check, the scoring for the kids from Homewood is below, very below. So that's our main thing, is get them educated. That's all I have to say.
Sam has brought up something that I thought was important.
I'll share.
Y'all can't hear me? Sam brought up something that was important. He said that a young girl had been lost for the last 2 weeks. She just was found safe, and I wanted to lift that up.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Queba. I'm a resident of Homewood. Yes, Shade Tree Commission. I'm a commissioner for Whitroy for the Shade Tree Commission. Thank you for all your work. Blighted lots. So in 2014, Grow Pittsburgh did a study at how many blighted lots. It was 27,000 blighted lots. And I believe we're up to 14,000, the majority of them in Homewood. However, that has went down because of the Adopt a Lot program, which is a great program. What it is you can adopt a lot, make it a green space. We have a farm on Monticello Street, the Homewood Historical Farm, rain garden, etc. However, you telling me you're tearing it down for more blighted lots? Yeah, you can do a garden, but we got a lead problem. We have to do raised beds until you get that lead level down because it isn't safe and we're tired. We are investigating quicker remedies with the Secretary of Agriculture that we're going to implement this fall and this spring at the Homewood Historical Farm. But it's still a disadvantage for us as urban farmers. However, as a Shade Tree Commissioner, and Roy will agree with me, we don't have the trees that we need. We have island effect here in Homewood. We have less. So when you look in Point Breeze, you see more shade trees. We don't have that equity in Homewood. It's a disadvantage to us. It causes issues. It's a heat effect. Our melanin gets to spitting, all right? We get upset when it gets hot. We get angry and it causes problems. That's something to do. We are working on an equity plan we have for a while, not just for shade trees, because this is a food apartheid area. We need fruit trees. We're going to implement that. We're working. But we need support to do this. More blighted lots is not the answer. We have a homeless problem. Yeah, it costs money. Okay, when Karen and I went to Germany, we found a solution, which we'll talk about later. You know, yeah, but I would recommend more shade trees and more fruit trees.
Hello, Carol Speaks, and I want to talk to you about two things, the police and my son. Now, I recently saw a news report where a person that they have been looking for months, driving the same type of vehicle as my son with tinted windows, was picked up for robbery and something else. It's a lot of black kids. My son he's worked hard to change his life around, and I'm gonna need these police to leave him alone. I've asked, I've begged. I'm telling you, the way the last time they stopped him, they came around the corner while he was driving to the corner. That car jumped out and threw something underneath his wheels. Then another car came from the other direction. There was 6 cars and 2 sergeants. And my question was, what is my son wanted for? This is not the first, second, or third time that this happened to my son. He's not wanted for anything, not under any investigation. I just want, before something bad happens, my son to be left alone. Because I'm telling you, there is nothing worse than buying a last outfit for your child. And I'm not about to do mine on some little white dude from the sticks that want to get some stripes. I'm not willing to be that person. The other thing is my street, the street that is on the side of my house is falling over. I called your office and I was told that I'm responsible for half of that street, and then the people that live on the other side are responsible for the other side of the street. There's no houses on the other side. There never has been any houses on the other side. I called Reverend Burgess, and somebody was supposed to come, and they haven't come yet. Reverend Burgess, could you please send somebody up there? Just listen to your messages. I call often. That's it. Thank you.
Hold on, wait. Did you check your property line?
Yeah.
I don't know. All right.
Yeah, it's a paper street.
It's a paper street, Parchment.
No, Orrin. Exactly.
You know All-In Homewood?
Yes, it is. It's right beside me.
Yeah?
Yeah. If you come down,
It must be a real small street.
well, it goes
never
all
heard
the
of
way
it,
from
no.
Ferndale to Parchment.
All right, I'll check on it. I'll check.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bagumba Lowry. I'm going to just skip around, jump around a few things that has been said up here on the panel. Jump on the speed bumps on Kelly Street. They've been needed on there. These speed bumps, I mean, I worked here for a while, taking kids back and forth. The YMCA is over here for the children over there. They come flying up and down the street. I talked to some of the people that was out there doing looking at the streets to do the speed bumps. They were going to start at Bruston all the way down to Mertland. It's badly needed ASAP right now. Brother Rashad has a after-school program here. They have a YMCA after-school program. Looking at the kids, you've seen them when you were coming in. These cars be flying up and down here. They flying. Also, we need more speed bumps on Homewood Avenue. You have them up top and down here at the bottom, but you need it right here in the middle. Also, another thing about the housing. And back in the 70s, they had a thing called the Homestead Act. I don't know if y'all remember that.
It's still alive.
The Homestead Act was where they tore down the houses that were dilapidated in wooden frames. They're no good right now. Those houses are older than me, and I'm 74. They've been here. They was here when I came here. But the houses that are brick can be rehabbed. All these brick houses can be rehabbed and sold. Back then, they sold them for less than $1. If you could live in there and fix the house up on yourself, you can stay in that house and fix it up. So all these houses around here are not being torn down. You can't just tear down everything. Some of these houses you're thinking about that can't be done, if they're brick, yes they can. These are houses in Homewood are some of the best houses in Pittsburgh. This was the property. Everybody wanted to come to Homewood. I was here when y'all was here. I've been here since '54 when the other folks was living in Homewood. I was here. There's a lot of things that's happening in Homewood. Another thing as far as the crime, the killing rate, yeah, the killing rate is down, but the drugs are up. The drugs are up, and it's getting worse. I live up here at the high rise, right on Frankstown and Homewood, on Bruston Avenue and Frankstown. The drugs are up. Up on Lincoln, the drugs are up. The killing may be down, but the drugs are up. And I'd like them to step up, asking you, Mayor Ed, to have the police step up their game. They can come up there and sit. Have the guy that owns the property, Simmons, put those gates up. He has the fences, the 8-foot fences. Put the gates up so they can't loaf inside his property. Then they can be swept up. They can be swept off the city sidewalks because they'll be on city property selling drugs. So that's another thing. As far as the field and the children out here, I'm a track coach also. Brother Mubarak is a track coach out here. I don't know if they have a track on that field up there, but we definitely need a track on that field up there because we have to leave the community for sprints and stuff and field events. We have to go down to Westinghouse, but we need a track around that field. So it might not be no track. So not enough space. So we still have to leave. But anyway, I'm off of this mic. I just wanted to jump around a little bit. And as far as Mr. Burgess here, respectfully, Mr. Burgess, you've been here for a minute, but you got to step up your game. You got to step up your game. I'm not going to be disrespectful. You got to step your game up. Step the game up. If you can't step the game up, that's it. That's it. Thank y'all.
Oh, one other thing.
I'm also a mad dad, and we've been cleaning up around here. Y'all, we've been cleaning up. This is my mad dad brother Melvin is also.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Roy Blankenship, community organizer with BPEP, the Black Political Empowerment Project. But Mayor, I want to take a second just to step and say I thank your staff, the administration for the effort to try to reach out to community and to engage community and give them a fair shake in it. I'm watching you all over the city and going everywhere, reaching out to each and every resident. But what I come as a father today because I have a heavy situation on my heart. I'm watching our children in the Pittsburgh public schools. And right now, the school system is outmanned and it's outgunned. Most of our kids, you guys are from Homewood, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have kids that have attended Magnet program, which takes your kid and runs it all the way across the town. But in these high schools, a lot of the kids are right now, it's like gladiator school. I grew up in the 90s when the gangbanging was happening. We got down and we did our things, but the way these kids are fighting each morning, I mean, my son was on his way to school at 7 o'clock, and there were kids at school fighting already. And this is not in one school. My son goes to Brashear High School. They got 4 security guards for 1,200 kids. And this is a pattern that's happening with all schools around the Pittsburgh public school system. As everybody's saying, I don't mess with the police. I ain't being the police. Forget the police. But y'all kids need help. These schools, the administrators need help. If we are not the ones to go police ourselves, then who will? We can't put it on these representatives. We can't put it on everyone else. We have to be solution driven. A few of the speakers that came before me, they spoke and they were solution driven. And I ask that all over the city of Pittsburgh, when you come to a community meeting, have a solution also. You know, like we all know the problems. We deal with problems daily. Take some time and think about what you think the solution is. That way your representative can help you. Or someone has a direct pattern or line to go about. But I'm done with that. But as most of you know, yes, sir.
You done?
Yeah.
Thank you. Just wanted to respond to a couple of your things. We are right now working with Dr. Walters and some of the school board members. We've been trying to build a better relationship because a lot of what you talk about is Pittsburgh Public Schools and it's the city of Pittsburgh. But when people think about it, they just think about one thing. So we're trying to build that partnership. We're working with them right now to try to put a table together for a safety plan for our kids because the transportation, how they get from school or home to school and from school to back home, we want to make sure they're safe in that. So we got to have a unified kind of process. But the mayor came in talking about the youth being very vital to what his vision is. So he created the thing that we are calling Pittsburgh Pathways to Prosperity. Some of you may have seen it. We kicked off this with an event down at the City Hall around our CTE program, our Career and Technical Education program, which is housed in Westinghouse. The main office is in Westinghouse High School. Westinghouse has some of the most, I think, outstanding programs in the city. But we want to make sure kids have a direct link for college or career and they can see it, because it's hard to imagine yourself when you're dealing with kind of survival things if you can't see how that fits into where you want to go. So we have formed a real partnership with the CTE programs so our kids know that if they want to take this career pathway, and I think Lisa had a great meeting today, again at Westinghouse, talking about making sure those kids can come right out of high school, could come right into careers with the city, because we have to build our next generation of our workforce as well. We have some wonderful career ladders in the city, so we're trying to build that out. And by the way, for those of you who imagine the old VOTEC, this is not that. This is not that. It's very rigorous. It's academic based. So you can have a child, and if you haven't explored, if you have any children that's in the 9th grade, 10th grade, they really should look at one of these programs, because they can get the academic rigor and still make it a decision after they leave high school or when they go into college and they want to make a little bit of money while they're in college. Having a career skill is not a death sentence. So it's actually, we want to say that and we want to promote it, but the Pittsburgh Pathways to Prosperity is building it out. We're in the process now. We're going to be bringing on an education coordinator who will better align us around our careers and around this safety plan with the school. So I just wanted to bring that up and lift that up.
And real quick, hey, everybody, vote, please. There is
One last thing too, if you have any children, youth who want to be lifeguards, we're starting early this year to recruit for our lifeguards so that we can have pools open so all of our kids can experience the joy of swimming and make a little bit of money on the side. So we want to also lift that up.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a comment for the gentleman before you, Roy, and anyone else who came in late and missed it. DOMI will be installing speed bumps along Kelly Street from Bushton to Mertland, October 17th or 18th, weather permitting. So they will be in soon. So just in case anybody ever had any concerns about Kelly Street, they are coming. And here you go. I'm sorry. I'm having difficulty hearing you. Belmont Gardens. All right, we're right. We wrote it down. We wrote it down. No problem.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. How are you guys tonight? Thank you guys for all you guys do. We truly appreciate you guys. I'm not going to speak out of pain. I'm going to speak out of love today. This has to deal with Homewood. My name is Rico DeLorean Rucker Sr. I was born and raised in Homewood. I own property here. I graduated Westinghouse in 2004. I had the opportunity to go to the Hill District's Community Engagement Development meeting yesterday, which was very awesome. We need to take notes from them because they have it together and we are way far behind. At that meeting yesterday, I was networking and connecting with developers. For those of you who do not know, I am one of 2 finalists working with the URA to purchase the Greater Pittsburgh Coliseum. I want to say that again. I am one of 2 finalists working with the URA to purchase the Greater Pittsburgh Coliseum. I started the Buy the Block Back movement for the people, by the people of Homewood. As you guys know, the URA works on behalf of the people, and they follow what the mayor has to say in regards to anything that happens within this city, along with Mr. Ricky Burgess, who sits on city council. With that being said, at the meeting while I was networking yesterday, I never met the executive vice president of the URA, Mr. Greg Filstrom. I don't know if I'm saying his last name correctly, but he came up to me and he pulled me to the side yesterday and he told me that he wanted me to hear straight from the horse's mouth that the process that we as the village have been working so hard on for the last 2 years, that no one will be chosen. And they are starting the whole process all over again. And with that being said, Miss Jackie was one of the 4 finalists. And there is something that we have to do as the people, to unite as the people, to show them how powerful we are, because everyone knows what that Coliseum has to offer. They skated back in the car barn days. That building is very historic and it is dear to a lot of people in our community. And I'm going to be very serious right now. If I have to run for Ricky Burgess' seat and take his seat and get him out of office, I'm signing up today, because he will not pay somebody to run against him so he can win with 30% of the vote. It's time to go. It's time for the new generation to be able to stand up and fight for our community. As we are the people, and this government agency works on behalf of the people, and in order for us to come together as the people and the community, we need to all sit at the table. One final thing. We as the people, we have the right to submit a request to the URA requesting to see all the information, emails, and documents about the decision of the Coliseum. I'm working on behalf of my ancestors and my elders who are here and who are not here. And I'm not accepting no. And there's a way that we have to be able to sit down collectively as a team and work together to give the people what they want. And for the last 2-3 decades, I'm 37 years old, we have been a food desert. We have been begging to get a grocery store back. We have been begging to get the roller skating rink back. And our voices are not being heard, and it's unacceptable. So I'm begging you guys, please listen to the people. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Donna Biggs. I agree with Rika 100%. I've also been working with him in the Buy Back the Block program. I have something to say about the Garfield Field. The beautification, the Garfield Field, the thing you were talking about, the Homewood Field, I'm sorry, thank you. Homewood Field, I'm sorry. I do Garfield too, I'm sorry. Anyway, the problem we were having is when we brought our kids over here to gun violence, and I was wondering if that was being addressed at the field level, because we had to stop several games because of that. And I'm just thinking about maybe fences or something that we could do to help secure some security in there. The other thing I wanted to address was the vacant buildings. I know some of them have to be tore down, but like on the Hill, I'm hoping that if you rebuild them, and hopefully you rebuild them soon, that you put in place affordable housing. Because on the Hill, I know the buildings are getting so high and so expensive, we're moving out. You know what I mean? And we want to stay in our communities. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gabrielle Gray. I'm a Homewood resident. I don't want to take a... Hi, everybody. I also am in support of Rico Rucker and Homewood getting that Coliseum. It's too much, y'all. There's no transparency. There's no accountability. We tried to look up bylaws at the URA. We can't even find them, y'all. It's not fair that you're keeping this information list. It's not fair that y'all banking off our ignorance. It's not fair that he has to start this whole process over. This has been 2 years. This is not right that for 9 years, we ain't had not one house rehab by the land bank. It's not fair that Andy Sheehan had to uncover that on the news. It's not fair that we don't know where this new money gonna be going. Where was the old money going? Where the land bank money go? Why Cleveland got 12,000 homes land bank in the same amount of time and we ain't got none? Why do other cities flourish but Pittsburgh dwindles? And y'all steady pouring millions. I just looked up public safety dollars. I saw one grant up to $3 million. Another grant up to $2.5 million for CVI. Now we got CVI that y'all trying to fund. When is it gonna stop? When y'all gonna stop poverty pimping our narrative and it's not even real? Y'all lying on us in these proposals, talking about we all at risk. We're low income. We're kings, we're queens. We are not that stuff that y'all keep putting up in these proposals. And it's hurtful. It's causing harm to the community that we got a Homewood comprehensive plan that don't protect Homewood residents at all. There's a development being snuck in through Belmore, through Pittsburgh Public Schools, y'all, and we don't even know. And they changing the idea up left and right, putting in permits left and right, and then a week later, we talking about it at the Homewood Collaborative like it's an already done sealed deal. This is not okay. The things have got to change. If y'all trying to make peace in the streets, then y'all can't keep planting these seeds of violence and horror. Y'all can't keep gaslighting us. Y'all can't keep making us feel bad for asking for accountability. Y'all can't keep making us feel bad when we want transparency. That's your responsibility. I understand what the BPEP gentleman said. We do have to come up with solutions for our own nation building. But at the end of the day, y'all the ones got the power seats. Y'all are the power brokers. Y'all are the king and queen makers. Y'all are the ones who sign the final contract that determines where this money is really going. We can't keep moving in this direction, talking about racism is a social health crisis when racism is a man-made construct. We gotta be real for the next generation at least. They can't be removed from the truth the way y'all trying to remove us from the truth. We need better communication. We need better forms of information. We need Black lives really to matter. We don't want to keep exploiting Black Lives Matter narrative. We really want some Black Lives Matter legislation to protect Black lives. We really want spaces where we can discuss development at the initial phases. Like Rico said, the Hill got it going on. I saw them use a scorecard to determine whether or not that parking lot fitting to be built in the Hill. And if that scorecard don't come right, that project don't get built. But that's not what's happening here in Homewood. We got a Homewood comprehensive plan that actually got submitted into the city of Pittsburgh behind residents' backs because it happened during COVID. And they didn't care enough about us to let us know to go to the commission hearing down on Ross Ave. They keep saying that there's all this good work being done behind closed doors. But since when do good work be done behind closed doors? I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sis. Thank you.
So we can't get none of the questions.
Better come right.
We got 2 points, so we can't get none of the questions answered. We'll wait. Mr. Gainey, I being disrespectful. We can't get one of her questions answered because that's important.
We get ready to say.
I appreciate that. We'll wait.
Go ahead.
Somebody else.
First, we want to make sure we hear you. The Coliseum, we know, is an institution that you all care about. You know, like I know, this mayor cares about it too. So, I want to clarify something. We want to make sure whatever we agree to, that what the community agreed to can actually happen. One thing we don't want to do is set anybody up for failure or for something that can't be done. So we understand what you're just saying. We're not going to duck the difficult questions, but I want Jake Pollock, the deputy mayor, to talk about why the decision was made and what we think the process needs to look like going forward. And by the way, if everybody who supplied a proposal is willing to sign so we can open up, now I don't know the legal, I'm saying something before my, deputy mayor, but if people are willing to let this process be fully transparent and we can lay out all of the things that we went through and why the decision had to be made like that, we are willing to do that as well, if we can legally. So let me have Jake Pollock respond. Let me have Jake.
You can't say that. He got a valid point. They got a valid point. When you said that for 2 years, he has been
we haven't been here 2 years, Sam. We just came in. We're not running from it. We just came in. Sam, are you gonna let me talk or are you gonna talk over me? Are you gonna talk over me or are you gonna let me talk, Sam? You asked me for I'm about to respond to you. I'm not run. I have never run in my life except on the field. So what I'm saying to you, Sam, chill out. Chill out. Chill out. I got you.
Thanks, Chief. So, as it relates to the Coliseum, the current status is this, right? It was the clearest thing, clear as a bell, from the community dialogue around the proposals that were received, that we can see is that the community wants a community and recreational asset, right? The community wants this to be a space for people to gather, to be together and to celebrate each other in community, including potentially skating. I see you're holding your skate up now, right? That was abundantly clear. Of the proposals that we received and the information that was submitted through the process that was started last year, the proposal that had the ability to make the greatest financial sense was not a recreational asset. So the choice was to initiate a new process to... Please let me finish, man. Was either to open the process back up with a particular focus on asking only for those kinds of proposals, or to make to go down a different path. And being that it's clear that the community's desire is for a community asset, that's the reason that we're looking to reinitiate the process and ask for that specifically.
I can't.
White with Gonzalez over there who's going to come out. Here, what we're going to say, Rico, you didn't open up your books enough, or John, you didn't open your books. Because right now, y'all wasting taxpayer dollars. That's wasting taxpayer dollars. All I'm saying is, we'll put someone else in the bid. Let's do it here for the two who stood up here. Because it's just like Barron Television. If I go to the board, this is the last row, let me give respect. Because they've been here for 2 years. Fight for it. And I don't care who you say.
Sam, we just said we willing to, right? That was number one. We said we was willing to. Two is what you heard the chief says, that if everybody agreed, well, I'm not gonna open up theirs because that wouldn't be fair. Matter of fact, they would have to agree to do that, and then we would consider doing that if it was respectful. That's number two. He didn't dodge those questions, he answered them. Hold on, let me finish. I'm answering your question. Thirdly is, we wasn't in when they started this process. Hold on, wait a minute, now you don't. Because right now, the building can be used for more than just a recreational asset. It can be used for something else. If we're holding to what we got right now, based on financials and everything else, we gotta, I can't talk about that, but you know where I'm going with it. What we're saying, to float it again with the intention to make it a community asset so that people can have it, then that's what the recommendations that come in will do. Now, well, hold up. We wasn't there 2 years ago, but we heard the community. So we had to make the choice. We didn't follow the narrative, we followed what we said we would do, is listen, but just because we listen don't mean we can cut it now, knowing that it might not go in a way that's going to be beneficial to what you want. We want to make sure that we're listening in a way that we're beneficial to the community. We can't do that unless we come out here.
We got 2 great programs, 2 great people who are saying they want this facility. All I'm saying is, let's not stand here and say he wasn't an open book. He has been Facebook's king, giving all his information. The white boy has been quiet. John has been quiet about what he is. Financially, if we want to talk about financials, all of us in the room can raise our hands. Who all is in this building because you're an employee? Raise your hands. All these people can stand up here and say, financially, both of these 2 people stand toe to toe, 10 toes down. Period. All I'm saying is what's better for the community, come out of us that way.
But I just did.
Come out of us that way and say, right, for the community, this is not going to fit.
No, I never knocked it. Sam, I never knocked the work. What I answered was the question.
If we're taking it away, we're knocking his work.
No, I disagree.
If we're changing,
Yeah, he's missing it. I know he's missing it. We'll talk out, me and you. We'll talk out. Hey, go ahead. Sam.
So first I need to say I am not a Homewood resident. I live in Lincoln Larmer. I live in Lincoln Larmer. I was married in the Coliseum. So I would love to see something beautiful happen in there, specifically for the kids and the community. What I am here to talk about is a new initiative for a pre-diversion and pre-arrest program for youth. It's called Caring Connections through Gwen's Girls. The number that you can call is 211. Again, this is a pre-arrest and pre-diversion program for youth all over Allegheny County, but one of the target communities is here in Homewood. And the idea is that instead of schools, instead of community, instead of other entities calling the police to address things that are going on with our kids, call 211. Be connected to the Caring Connections program, and we will use community-based resources to work with that youth and to work with that family so they don't end up in the system, so they don't end up in foster care, so they don't end up in police care or anywhere else. There are huge disparities of black and brown children going into the system being arrested for things that could have been addressed, like the old school village used to address. So now we're going back to that. So again, Caring Connections, 211, stop calling the police for things that can be addressed in other ways. Thank you. No, we take the information that you give us and we connect with that family. So, no.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kamal, and I just wanted to address a couple of things, many of which, or some of which have changed since I've been in this line. I think that the chaos that's going on right now proves that the system is, that when you're talking about the system of it, it's broken. And it's broken in such a way that Pittsburgh, and especially black Pittsburgh, leads the nation in the most negative, every negative factor that you can imagine. The people who I think are being suggested that we see are the people who profiteer from this, are the people under whose watch for the last 30 years. You know, if this was Japan, they should follow the samurai code and just all commit hara-kiri, you know, because they have failed us. What I'm suggesting is that we open a pathway for some innovative, qualified thinkers to put together a consortium of our own. You know, not the Homewood Collaborative, but in concert maybe with the Homewood Collaborative. But people are thinking the same thoughts and recycling, no offense, the same memories of a mill town that has long since turned into either a tech or service for tech city. You know, it's either when you go to the medical tech part, you are either tech qualified, or you clean up the place, you know, or you provide the lunches for the employees at the place. And so this is what Pittsburgh is over in CCAC right now. And I just met with the brother over there last week. I got to sit down with him. They have training for making solar panels, solar energy. Nobody in the neighborhood knows this. Yeah. Look, this is not new. Look, I started studying solar energy. My first major was a double major of physics and economics. And I started studying solar right after 3 Mile Island. So, and if anybody, just to get the age handle on this, if anybody watches American Gigolo, that's Richard Gere and all that. Richard Gere was the gigolo. Lauren Hutton was the woman who he gigoloed for, I guess. But Lauren Hutton met him while her husband was a California congressman who was at an alternative energy convention. So alternative energy has been around for the longest. We need to. It's here.
I have it.
It's here. It's here.
You got 9 sold
But
now. You know I got it.
yeah. But I'm saying you cutting the edge anyway, right? But what I'm saying is that this is the kind of innovative thinking that some people, qualified people, need to be able to sit down and discuss, put that kind of proposal on the table and say, get up on this. Because I agree with Rico, I talked to him at length, but enthusiasm doesn't take us to where we need to go. Enthusiasm is like gasoline in a car. There's many other components. And so we need to get these other components so that we can sit down on a level, head-to-head playing field with the people at the URA. They're not smarter than us. I mean, we have the skill set on the people's side. They're not the kingmakers, we're the kingmakers.
Amen.
They work for us. I mean, I don't have, look, my man, both of y'all, but, and I don't know the rest of y'all, but we're the kingmakers. Don't delegate our power to them.
Oh, your mic up.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so I'll stop. Oh, one more thing. And I think we are confusing, in many instances, we're confusing social service with social change. And that's a critical distinction. Social service is giving coats to the homeless in the winter. Social change is eradicating homelessness. We need to be on the case, make those clear distinctions, and get to rolling, and put this stuff on the table. I was at city council, that's all right. But anyway, one anecdotal, I was at city council meeting because I read where some funds were going to be allocated to downtown development and affordable housing would be part of it. But then, as I was reading the press release, I saw reallocation. So this money is already somewhere, and it's getting ready to go downtown. Oh, yeah, I need to stand. I need to stand. I am not Michael Jackson. I need to stand for mine. But are people hearing me? That's what I thought. That's what I thought. So, but anyway, I was the only one there. People thought I worked there. I was there with the reporters. No, I'm saying that I was at the city council, money was on the table, and nobody was there. So that's it. But I just want to mention those things, because this is not the fight that people say it is.
Thank you, sir. A couple of quick things. First, on the topic you just addressed, I want to be clear. You're right to say that the funding for the downtown affordable housing program that we're working on was reallocated. It was allocated to something else. It was not allocated to housing at all before, and is being allocated to housing now. So you're right, it was being moved, but it was being moved into housing affordability, and it wasn't affordability funds for a different neighborhood or a different project previously. I just want to make that clear. I'm not saying you were saying that, just make that clear. But I wanted to really focus on something else you said, because it's really important. You're so right to point out that in our current economy, right, as our region's economy moves to tech and life sciences and those sort of advanced fields, that it's pretty bifurcated, right? There are the folks with the tech credentials, and there are folks providing services to them. We want to make sure that both of those things are dignified work that have quality wages and supports. and also that everyone has an opportunity to get access to the types of skills and training that are necessary to reach sort of the pinnacle of those fields. But the other piece that's really important is that there's a missing middle there, right? That we have a real potential, as the previous speaker just mentioned, around solar panel construction or in life sciences manufacturing, that there are jobs to be had in our region in the economy that is coming that require all levels of skill and all levels of training. And it's important that we invest in that. And that's, I just want to point back to something that Chief Wheatley was talking about earlier with our CTE partnership with PPS, because it's critical that we train our next generation of students to fill every single gap in that ladder, right? There are going to be new jobs in designing the future of our technology. There are going to be jobs in building that. There are going to be jobs in servicing that. And all of those should be quality, dignified work that can sustain a family. And so we're looking to build the right pathways to achieve all of that. And right now, the middle piece of that is what's missing most, and that's where most of our attention is going in this space. So.
Ms. Dosma.
So I see that we have a few more people in the line here. I just want to give a reminder, because we're coming close to the end of the meeting, for everyone to try to keep their comments concise, right? So that we can get through the rest of the line. I'm just in that reminder. We got about 20 more minutes, so I want to make sure that we get through all of you all, and so we can close out the meeting. All right, so just want to give that gentle reminder. Thank you all, and I'm going to pass you the microphone. Thank you, ma'am.
I don't have to push nothing now, I guess.
No.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Mayor, love you, and God bless you all for taking on the task. But I have several things. One is I live in Homewood North. I've been asking for speed bumps for the last, if you check the records at 311, I have been asking for speed bumps for the last 3 years because we've had 2 children get killed up there. We had 2 murders up there, 3 actually. And one was, I was sitting in my yard and the car come around the bend and the young man came up through the sunroof of the car and killed on the 4th of July. Moeller Street, right there in the projects. Second of all, the same thing about that skating ring. It's not just the skating ring. First of all, let's get that clear. That has been the only building that we as a neighborhood can come and get together and have our community to come and sit and talk and explain, have functions. It's not, and the money can be made there. The potential is there. All of us are not blind, okay, or broke. I'm bent, I ain't broke, I'm bent. But anyhow, second, and the third thing is the violence, the gunplay that I have to live with. I'm over 70, and I'm hitting the floor, and I asked them to have more cops come up there, not ride through the stop signs. Or they're okay, but would they care? Them people go right on over the hill. And I've been begging for the cops to come up on top of that hill, because we are isolated, like E-Seals. They're isolated. We are part of Homewood. We are part of Homewood, and we want to make it clear our votes do count, and we do have people. I've gone and rode people to the polls. So it's very important that we be included. And then last is our children. That field is an important part of this community, most definitely. It's so important. If you looked at the statistics, our children have too far to travel to do any kind of practicing, to do any kind of swimming. You know, you can't go down to Kingsley's house and just go in there and pool, okay? It's not going to happen. I lifeguard in that pool. I was a lifeguard there, I lifeguard in Pitt. I've been all over when Reisenstein stood. I was a lifeguard, you know. But here's the point. Our kids cannot be without a pool, without safety, and that means if they're, and I beg you women, and all women that have children, if the men don't do it, we gotta do it. Get up. And you know what's coming in your homes. Stop turning a blind head. You know, if that kid got a brand new pair of shoes, you ain't got no jobs. What you doing with them shoes? I didn't buy them. Come on, we gotta get back to parenting our own kids. We want everybody to do things for us. Let's do it for ourselves. Stand up. Because like I said, I don't have, my grandbabies is in Georgia. I wish they was here. But everybody in this community, if I run across your child, that's just like my child. Because that's the way I was raised. And that's the way we were raised. And with that village, just like you said, sir. But I need you all to understand. Yeah. But I will also would like to know about these blighted houses and them houses. It's very important that we get those homes that can be saved. Put somebody in them. Like they said, we used to sell them for $1 and you had to live in it for at least a year to 5 years before you can think about selling that house. You know, so let's get back to basics. Let's take it to where it is. Those houses, every last one of those houses, brick homes, the majority of them can be saved. And if you have the team in the city that goes inside them houses and inspect and be truthful about it, a lot of our brick homes will still be standing. Because they have tore down so many of our buildings, and it's not fair. I look around and I see a concrete city. It literally looks a mess. No trees, no nothing. Neighborhood is starting to look terrible. That's all I got to say as far as bricks. That's unhealthy too. Trees is what's needed. We need our homes, we need our kids to be safe, and I do need somebody up on that mountain. Okay? Peace and God bless everybody.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I wanted to take just a minute, recognize, I know I saw him in here somewhere. Martell Covington is also in the house. He is your current state house rep, so I want to make sure that I recognize and acknowledge him in the building with us as well. Yes, and we do, again, they told me to tell y'all, a reminder again, that we do have to get through the rest of our speakers, because we know y'all didn't have any dinner tonight, and we know y'all gotta go eat as well. I know. Y'all gotta forgive us. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Karen Gilliam. I'm Tenant Council President for the 12th Ward, 8 and 9, and 13-1. You're taking the speed things just to my corner. Mertland and, what'd you say, Mertland and Kelly? We just had a kid get hit. And I could just sit up in my bedroom to stop, save your money on the stop signs, because they're not doing anything. You know, they rip and run up all, and the motorcycles, and it's just becoming, they're trying to move that element down my way, and I ain't having it. You know, and just a suggestion, Ed, if you and you come, I want to show you guys where the bushes are. It's taller than me. Where the empty houses, no doors and windows on it. Seal all of them up and cut them bushes out and put the mic to you. Put them bushes up, cut them down to the dig them up on Mertland, on Lang. Where'd she go? I'm right here. Okay, on Lang. You know, because they can hide their weapons there. I don't want to believe that any mother. I lost my son December the 28th, 2003. He was ambushed. but it wasn't because of me. You mothers, I've seen kids walking over their mothers. It's time to step up. If you're scared to do it, you get somebody else to help you do it. You couldn't bring nothing in my house. I did a random search as soon as that gang stuff started of my house once a week. And you never knew what day. But they took my baby. But I care about these other kids coming up. And it just hurts my heart. We had another shooting last night downtown, you know. And it just don't make sense. But if you do them, come and do them bushes and board up them houses, then you'll see about who is where they're hiding their stuff. If they have nowhere to hide, then
good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know, we have nowhere to hide them at. You know, thank you about the bumps, because I was just getting ready to write on that. And then we need someone that we listen to, that you listen to. He doesn't do it. He's sitting over there, sitting over here right now. Look at the Hill District.
Okay. Come on.
Look at the.
I'm trying to be.
Look at the Hill District. It's beautiful.
You know I love you. You know I love you, right?
No,
I know, Karen.
We're going to vote for him.
Karen,
to get him out of there because he does nothing.
Okay, Karen.
I'll walk with you.
I got it. Come on.
All right.
Take it to the...
Time for him to sit down.
All right. Hello.
It's land grabbing as it is. They land grab.
Wait, no, because hold on, no. I'm going to show you how to land grab. This is because you could do it too.
Okay. I don't want to land grab.
But you can.
But I don't want to. Come on.
Okay, well then they're going to do it.
Everything.
All right, so look. My name is Billy Vaughn. I'm from Lincoln. One of the services that I do, I teach workshops. It's called Value the Vacant. I've been doing it since 2017. I teach community members. There's a couple people in here who came to my workshops. I teach community members how to purchase property from the city. It is an easy process, right? So everyone is familiar with the sheriff's sale, right? The city has their own treasure sale. It's not as often as a sheriff's sale, but they have it 3 times a year. So what happens with those properties when they're not sold, they become city-owned. When they're city-owned, you fill out an application, you could purchase it. I got a house in here on Heritage for less than $5,000 from the city-owned process, right? You could do it, anybody in here could do it. One of the biggest problems that I'm even coming across when I'm teaching these and what's holding up the process with the city's real estate department. And one of the reasons why I did this is I used to work for the city, not under Ed. If I did, I would have never quit. But I quit when I worked under Peduto because I worked in the real estate department. And I'm like, there's auctions happening monthly. Where is the community? Why aren't they coming? You know, so they were shutting me down. I quit and just started teaching on my own. Teaching the process. And I started because this is one way that we could utilize the public sector. Don't need credit checks, don't need mortgages, it's just cash. That's it, right? So one of the downfalls to this, what I'm coming against now, is CDC's city council members are able to take some of those city-owned properties and preserve it for community plans. So it's clashing with local residents being able to fill out an application and get the properties as well. And it wouldn't be bad if they're preserving it for something that's beneficial, but when they preserve it for their plans, it's not aligning with the community's goals, right? Because half of those homes that Habitat for Humanity built, we don't even qualify to credit. So I mean, what is it being generational wealth for who, right? Because half of the people that these developments are being preserved for, we don't qualify. You feel me? So to allow the community to be investors and purchase this property, I think it's important. And just to say, I had since I started, 8 successful people that have bought a house on their own and was able to get it back into tax base. So it's possible. Anybody in here could do it.
Pick a date, and then you can announce who's going to be that down at the good system, down at the Palmer Center. Pick a date. Tell them now. Whatever you want to do. Tell them a date.
Y'all pick a date. I'll teach it to y'all. It doesn't matter. I don't know.
I give you my card.
Yes.
Promise Center is on Hamilton. Whenever she comes, she's gonna pick a date and she'll tell us at the end of the day. The Promise Center is on Hamilton. It's a bomb community center. So she's gonna tell us the date at the end of the night.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My title is Chief Ikahana. Can I set this down? My title is Chief Ikahana, and I wanted to thank the Gainey administration, number one, for doing something different and doing away with the protocol that kept a lot of our people out of even considering being police officers. So if that's the path that they chose, I thank you for doing something different. And I wanted to open up with that. While I'm not a resident of Homewood, my grandmother and grandfather were until they transitioned. So now their property lies vacant, and I hope that it's not on your list. Another reason I'm vested in Homewood is that my mother graduated from Westinghouse. The final reason that I'm vested in Homewood, which is an unfortunate, painful connection to Homewood, is that in 2006, my brother died in Homewood as a result of a police chase due to no fault of his own that took 2 lives. Not only my brother, Michelle Rankin and Jerome Smith, died on the corner of Bennett and Lang during a unlawful police chase that also injured multiple children. So my question to you today is, do you really have to live in Homewood to be affected by Homewood or to contribute to Homewood? And also, RCOs are keeping these people's voices in this room silent because there's a lot of people who are not connected to RCOs, so you don't get to hear their voice. And so somehow, you've taken these token people to be the voice of the people. And from what I'm hearing today, from all these people in this room, they got something to say. And so I'm not sure that RCOs adequately represent the voice of the people. So I want y'all to reconsider whether RCOs should be the final voice being heard in the community, because these people are upset. You feel me? It is time for accountability, right? Bring back the quality recreation centers, affordable housing, true affordable housing, not the standards that are at play right now, because the city of Pittsburgh as a whole was affordable. I never moved from the city of Pittsburgh because of the affordability. And right now, at a time where inflation is a factor, we need true affordability, not political affordability, not the affordability that's now the case because everybody outside of Pittsburgh now owns property in the city of Pittsburgh. Who are these people developing these properties? Are you even questioning that? Does it even matter to you? As the girl just stated, I own 5 properties in the city of Pittsburgh. I went through that process. I mastered that process 20 years ago. But now it's impossible. I've been trying to teach people the same process, but they're like, we're getting caught up in all this red tape. That needs looked into. It seriously needs looked into. And I also want to say, Lori, Ed, Jake, you know I was going to go there. But I won't. I'm going to leave that for an email a phone call in the morning.
Right. We couldn't have no meeting today with no.
I understand that, but call me, brother. Call me, not an email, not an emergency. Nobody called me.
Right, I can't get, listen, the internet is down, the water is off, so I can't get to my contacts to get to the
Could you
phone
call
number.
me tomorrow?
So I got Dana's phone number, so I called the next best person, right?
That's right, 412
Write it down.
583. Call me, I ain't gonna answer. 093.
Chief, not on the mic.
We don't put your push. I was looking on TV. Oh, Lord. Deduct that from the record. But I just want to say it's time for accountability, everybody. Let's be accountable and let's make more transparent decisions when it's considering everybody as a whole. We need transparency and accountability in this city.
You don't want your personal information out there?
I saw.
Thank you so much. Let me see, I'm sorry. Are you next up in line? Yeah. Here you go. You gonna hold this? Come on. All right. Can you hold this part too? Yeah. Thank you.
Greetings, I am Vayetzi. How are you doing tonight? So I'm just gonna keep it real quick. I would like to talk about the speed bumps that really need to be created, made on Kelly Street. My offspring and I, we live in one of those houses, and every time that they want to go outside, and I don't want to travel all the way down to a playground that has been violence there and has been gunshots and shootings and whatnot there, I don't want to take them up there. And sometimes when we, play outside of our home, I don't want to have to risk, a car accident just in front of, myself and my offspring. So that really needs to be a priority. All on Kelly Street. The whole Kelly Street. All the way down. 72. It's what 7040. So as an extension from 7040 Kelly Street all the way down, the whole 9 yards, all the way past CCAC, everything, all the way down to Hook Fish and Chickens. All the way down there. So next is all these houses that are on, a few of them are being fixed up on Kelly Street. I see that. What? Oh, okay. I don't want to, overstep. A few of these houses are being built on Kelly Street. I see that. However, on Hamilton Avenue, there's a whole bunch of these townhouse kind of apartment kind of houses. Which the town.
Addison Terrace on the hill.
They've gone through Addison Terrace.
On the hill?
From the hill.
Oh.
All of that complex down there. Go ahead, sis.
Oh, okay. Well.
Baby, you talking about Hamilton?
No, I'm talking about Hamilton Avenue. Oh, okay. So off of the Hamilton Avenue, those brown tan townhouses that have all those boards blocked up, they've been blocked up for years. I've been here for years. They can be refixed and refurbished. If no one, wants to buy it, okay, fine. But they can be fixed up because a lot of homeless people, they don't have homes. That's why they're called homeless. So moving right along. Curricular activities, because I've heard a lot of comments about that. I self-identify as an Aboriginal American, so I homeschool my offspring. And codes and policies do not supersede the Constitution. It does not supersede law. And this is for every mother or parent that does want to homeschool their offspring and or children, whichever you do, call your young beings, is that you can do that, because I'm doing it. I teach my offspring Aboriginal American history. I don't teach them the history in compulsory school. I went to compulsory high school, in middle school. I didn't learn anything. I learned the same thing for 12 years. All that's being done is the first edition, the second edition, the 14th edition of just the basic subjects of math, science, English. I don't need to learn that for 12 years. I don't need to do that. So again, I homeschool my offspring. and I teach them about our heritage, our culture, our history. Well, as you would call it, history. I teach them about our story, the wars that were fought on these lands of the Americas. So with me stating that is, for compulsory schools, there needs to be something set up through the curriculums about Aborigine Americans, about their, as you would say, so-called history. Because if I did want to put my offspring through compulsory school, there is no curriculum set up to teach my offspring about their heritage, about themselves. It's about African Americans. We don't self-identify as African Americans. Not saying about anybody, I'm just speaking about myself. We don't self-identify as that. We're not social political constructs. So there needs to be something in place through your schools, through your curriculum, that does not limit the learning values of the young. The next, and I'm going to keep it very short. I'm all over the place. Why aren't there more community gardens? There's so much about complications with food stamps and things being down electronically, whatever the case may be. There needs to be community gardens so that I, as well, through homeschool, teach my offspring about agriculture. I teach them about planting. I teach them about a lot of respecting nature, respecting themselves. So if I want to walk down the street, and if the violence is solved, I can, oh, you want an apple? There you go, pick it off of the land. So I won't have to go walk all the way up to the grocery store and have to walk and carry a whole bunch of bags just because, oh, we need our basic needs of living. Anyway, move right along. The activities, not just for school, self-defense, archery classes, sewing classes, cooking classes, just the basic needs classics of life, like cooking and how to just simply fold clothes. This is all the things that I'm teaching my offspring. And yes, if everyone has seen, they're very young. My eldest is 7. He knows how to do that. Washing dishes. I didn't learn none of this in school. In your compulsory education, I didn't learn nothing. I just learned a whole bunch of math, a whole bunch of English, a whole bunch of history that does not speak about my people. That's frustrating now that I know, now that I'm being enlightened about that. It's disheartening and it's frustrating. So again, to the parents, I just want to say this one more again. If you are not breaking any laws, codes and policies do not supersede the Constitution. You have a constitutional right to educate your offspring and or your young about your history. And it does not have to consist with the state or the board. If you're not breaking any laws, because you're not, because I am not. I researched the laws. I'm being educated and enlightened about the laws. So get with any parent that is, not just myself, any parent that is homeschooling, so that you can teach your young not to be so violent, the rights and wrongs. And I do want to say this. Again, I'm not breaking any laws by homeschooling, and if you're not breaking any laws by fixing up your community, then do so. Do not wait on higher ups. Do not wait on people that have so-called licenses or so-called authorities just to make sure that your community is safe. Just to make sure that your offspring, your children are being educated. Because I am not going to walk my offspring up and down this desecrated community. I'm not going to do it. I'm done.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
My apologies.
No, all good, all good. We're just trying to get to these last 2 speakers because we do have an announcement.
There's actually 4 of us.
No, the guy in the green is our last speaker for tonight.
She's been standing here. There's actually 4 of us.
You were in line? Okay, I'm sorry. If you were already in line, then we will have you. You weren't in line, sir. The guy sir, please. Sir. Sir, we are going, listen, sir. Sir. Thank you. Because we do have an important announcement. We are coming back to Homewood. We have an important announcement that we want to make sure that you all have the date and time for that as well. Ma'am, you will be up next. Thank you so much for waiting patiently. We've got to get through you and 2 more speakers, and we got to close out. Thank you.
everybody. My name is Nina Harrell Cruz. Okay, thank you. I'm from Homewood. I'm from the 7100 block of Upland. I was born and bred from Homewood and transitioned to East Hills on 2320 East Hills Drive. So I have seen that world and I have seen our world. And I have a nonprofit organization for no cause for homeless people. And that's something that we truly need in our community, okay? And I'm saying that from my heart, okay? It's hard. I know there's money in Homewood. There's a $2 million grant, I believe, for our community, but it's hard to get to. And I know, you're right. You're right. Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Sam. Yes, I do. I hear what you're saying, but we have to stay together as a community, and we have to speak from love. And if they can't hear us, because I need street, what is that stuff, the actual speed humps. Okay, we just got our street repaved. I called 311 and they told me that I have to come down there or they'll email me a paper and I have to go walk around the community and have everybody sign the paper for the humps, thank you. The speed bumps, sorry, I'm nervous, so excuse me. And we desperately need that. They just repaved the last block of the 6900 block of Upland, and I love it because we had so many holes. But I suggest that maybe the police cars should have a camera to show the streets and for the holes throughout our whole community. I mean, that would be one option. But I thank y'all. No, I don't have a card, but when I do, I will give it to my mayor, Ed Gainey. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You and then one more, ma'am. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dorothy Bay. I stood up for several reasons today. First, I want to mention the skating rink. One thing Rico didn't mention when he was up here earlier, because there was just so much going on, is that they don't want anybody to have that building because they've decided to use it for anchor stores. Now, if that is the case, then that means to me, and I don't know what that means. This is just what I heard. Well, I'm just saying this is what he was told. That they want anchor stores there in the building where the skating rink used to be. So I wanted to know, if you can't answer it now, that's fine. I'm not necessarily looking for an answer, but it is a rhetorical question as far as I'm concerned.
I'm saying it's not true.
I understand that. I understand what you said. Okay. Yeah, but what do they want?
No, what we want. And I said this, I tried to say this before. I tried to say this before. We're not different than you. We want the same thing you want. We want to make sure whatever the community says it wants, it can actually get. That requires that we make sure when people give us proposals, they can actually fulfill what we say we want. For us, that process, we needed to make sure what came back in that process was not what the community said it wanted. What came back in that process in the financial world, we didn't feel was the right procedure for us to agree to. So what we're saying is to ensure it has what you said you wanted, to ensure we can create what you said you wanted, we chose to open it back up so that we can have a more, and I said this when I first started, if everybody who went through this process wants to be transparent and we can have this full open conversation so nobody is being fooled and nobody thinks they're being fooled, we can have it. But in order to do that, everybody who submitted has to say, we're okay with you opening up all of the records, all of the records. Because in order to have this real conversation, we can't have it where you're thinking we're hiding something. We're not really hiding something, but we can't share with everything that we receive because some of it is personal, confidential information. But if you want to have this conversation, and everybody want to have this conversation, then let's have it. Okay.
And I have a relationship with John. I can call him, and I know
I'm not
he'll
done.
be open to it also. So
I'm just saying, we can have that. We're not running from that conversation. We just don't want to.
if we open it up, I don't mind sharing public information.
It's not just about you. I'm just saying, in this conversation, the city is not running from trying to be transparent.
Or back and put that in writing, they wouldn't give it to us. So how you gonna get information?
We can have this conversation afterwards. We can have this conversation afterwards. I don't respond to you. There is no rejection because we want to put some anchors to it. I don't know where that came from, but that's not why I was rejected.
Executive director of the urban.
Well, he was talking some bullshit. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay. Yes, because I got a couple of things. And I'm just wondering what, you know, we didn't hear anything when the wheel mill went in. We didn't, and we don't know what kind of hoops did they have to, what kind of hoops did they jump through that we have to jump through that they didn't have to, because we didn't hear anything. We just looked and it was up and running and done and affecting the situation where my mother's property is down at that end, and we actually went to a meeting about it. So it was very quiet. We didn't hear all the stuff that we hear about anything else. It was just there. And at that point, I'm gonna leave it right there as far as the rink goes. The next thing is about,
I talked to you.
yes.
More than
Yeah.
a couple times. Had him come out to you. A couple times.
Who are you talking about?
Kevin Ackman came out.
That was in the early stages, the very beginning.
Whenever you called, I gave you all that I had. Am I right?
I can't.
We can talk about it offline if you like.
I would love
So
to.
we can be transparent with this audience. Every time you called, we talked about it.
No, sir. No.
You had not been in my office.
I've been in your office, but you said every time you called. But
So let me rephrase.
well, I didn't even get the question out.
Okay.
What I was going to say to you is that we need to have another conversation because it was never finished. And because of this new development that is going on Homewood Avenue next to the senior citizen high-rise with all those units and nowhere to park, the business of it is still open as to all this parking and where people are going to park. And you know about the property that I have, and that's what I want to have a discussion with you about. What happened before did not actually happen. We talked. I've talked to you. I've talked to Peduto. I've talked to other people in this room, but nothing happened. And that's what I want to talk to you about. I'm not going to discuss it here, but I just want to put it out here as this unfinished business, and with new business getting ready to happen in the very vicinity, that needs to be rectified. And I believe with what I have, that can be accomplished.
Thank you.
Oh, one other thing, city property seminar. If anybody wants to sign the sheet, here it is to sign it, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We got one more.
Thank you. We got one more. I just wanted to make one point before this last question. I wanted to clarify this because I think it's important. And we've talked about this as a team. I know that Kyle was not able to be here tonight, but this is something I know a message he would want me to share with you all. Every time you see a development going up, does not mean that the city is involved in that particular development. If it is private property, it is not affiliated with the city. So sometimes you see developments happening. We don't have a say over what happens on private property so long as it complies with the regulatory process, zoning, permitting, all of that. So I just want to make that distinction for you all here tonight as well.
Thank you, and I will be very brief. To get everybody out of here, my name is Raymond Robinson. I'm actually a resident of Brighton Heights, but I work in Homewood, and I'm committed to helping Homewood as best I can. 2 questions about public safety. Earlier, not sure if it was you, Jake, that mentioned about the change in the eligibility for the new police class. One of my concerns or questions, I guess, is how will the Bureau ensure that former officers from other police jurisdictions who might have had checkered past aren't going to come over here and get in under this new policy where they don't have to go through all the same training? First question. And then the second question is, in my work, I've seen, in my work and personal, I've seen the impact that Bureau's community engagement officers can have. So I've worked closely with Sergeant Tiffany Klein-Costa. I can't speak highly enough about the work that she and her team does. And I'm just curious, can the Bureau train more officers to be in that line of work? And or are there ways to get those skills that some of those officers seem to have more transferable to the rest of the force and their typical lines of work? Thank you.
Here, let me hand that to Lisa. Thank you. And then I'm going to close this out.
Yeah, thanks for that question. And the first one, how do we make sure that officers are trained? And so let me just clarify. The way that it used to work is you had to have 60 degrees of college credit before you could even begin 18 months of training. Nobody is going to escape the training that we want our officers to have, that we have the ability to design. Nobody's going to escape the psychological test. This is strictly about a bunch of stuff that you had to have before you could even come to training. So no matter where you begin, you get our training. That's the first thing. And then the second question just went right out of my head. Remind me.
Community resource officers.
Community resource officers. So look, I think we all agree, and people who've met our community resource officers, the truth is all of our officers need to be community resource officers. That's the direction that we want to go. Not a special group who get good at talking to the community. Every officer, a community resource officer.
Checkered past officers like Rossville.
Yeah, it's a separate process. Thank you for clarifying that question. So there are multiple ways in which those records are checked as part of the screening process. One is thanks to legislation that our now mayor and chief of staff voted for, there is greater transparency across departments on a officer's record where available, that information will be taken into account for an existing officer. Second is, aside from that, right, we do extensive background checks and psychological evaluations, as Lisa mentioned, on incoming officers to screen for those kind of problems. So I think what you're hearing from Lisa is that regardless of where you're, this is just reducing or eliminating a barrier that prevented qualified people to getting in the door, but it doesn't. Absolutely. I'm saying lowering that barrier in no way means that we're not doing our due diligence to make sure that the types of habits of mind that are important are still valued in the process. So you can rest assured about that.
Thank you. All right, as I close this out, I said when I got up here a minute ago that we are coming back to Homewood. How many of you all watched the release of our preliminary budget this past Friday? I want to see more people that know about our budget release this past Friday, but that's why this meeting is so important that's coming up. So we will be coming back to Homewood on Wednesday, October 19th, 7 p.m. at the Homewood YMCA to get input from you all about, you heard me say preliminary budget. We are still seeking community input. We will be here for that community meeting Wednesday, October 19th, 7 p.m., Homewood YMCA. You all will start to see more information going out about that in the next couple of days, but we wanted you all to hear it here first to make sure that you are there to get input in that budget process. Is there anything you want to say? And Mayor Gainey's going to say the final word.
Hey, Homewood, thank you for coming out again. You know the energy, so let me be honest. You know I don't mind the emotions and energy, that's who we are. So there's no, when we come here, we expect that. Matter of fact, if we don't get it something wrong, it ain't Homewood. So we expect that and we're comfortable with it. I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I'll be around for a minute. If anybody want to have a conversation, I'll be here for a minute. And then if you want to set up a meeting, we can do that too. But I just wanted to thank Homewood for coming out. God bless you.